Booker is doing that because he gave us an all-time soundbite. This is something that MJ would do, and from what we've seen so far in his career, Luka is cut from that same cloth. He's an absolute killer who's willing to do anything to win, and when he's given an extra push, he'll turn into a monster. Back at home in Game 6, he exploded for 33, 21, and 8 to force a Game 7 back in Phoenix, where he let his game do the talking. Every single shot of his gave him comfort, and what a hard shot it was. Stunning, with a 27-point lead down to Johnson. Oh no, shredding him. Oh no, he didn't. It was a murder. Luka was a human heat check, dropping 27 in the first half, as much as the entire Phoenix Suns roster. He finished the game with 35 and 10 to blow Booker and the Suns out of their building by 33 points, and it gets better. Luka finished the series with more points than volume scorer Devin Booker, more rebounds than big man DeAndre Ayton, more assists than the point god, and more steals than their defensive ace Matisse Thybulle. This was Luka at his peak. It was Jordan-esque, and the only team that could stop him was one that was on a mission. Despite some unreal performances by Luka in the Western Conference Finals, Dallas lost in 5 to a Golden State team that went on to win the championship. Although he fell short, Luka's 2022 playoff run showed the world how special he truly was. He was forming into one of the greats, and better yet, he's only 23 years old. There's only one way I can describe 2023 Luka, a one-man offensive powerhouse. Through his first 10 games of the season, he was averaging 35 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. The man was unguardable. I mean, look at this. Stolen by Doncic could be fun. Oh, that's in his bag as well. Luka completely detonated on Drew Holiday as the crowd roared in shock. Not bad for a dude with terrible conditioning, right? Doncic was playing at a historic level, but even that couldn't prepare us for what he did on December 27, 2022. Yes, right index finger laceration bang. Luka for 3. Luka on the dribble away from Grimes. Oh, to the rim. Nothing shocks me about this game, and that Drew Holiday music comes by. To tie it with seconds left, we've seen something that we will never ever forget. Luka Doncic scores 60 points. How's it feel right now? Now, I'm tired as hell. You can rest later, you're young. I need a recovery beer. 60, 21, and 10. Yes, 60 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. The first 60 to 20 game in the history of the NBA, and he did it at 23 years old. This guy was not human. The Mavs were down 9 with 33 seconds left. They were not supposed to win this game. But when you've got Luka Magic on your team, anything's possible. This was the peak of a hell of a season for Doncic. He made his 4th All-Star appearance, received his 4th first-team All-NBA selection, was second in the league in scoring, averaged a stupendous 32, 8, and 8 stat line, yet somehow Dallas missed the playoffs. The team had lost its identity from that Western Conference Finals run. They even traded for Kyrie Irving at the deadline, but it wasn't enough to make a push for the playoffs. Luka and the Mavs will now have some extra rest as they ramp up for a revengeful 2024 season, and I'll tell you what, it was better than expected. Entering his 6th season at 24 years old, Luka hadn't even hit his prime yet, and was widely regarded as a top 3 talent in the NBA. Somehow, his game hit a different gear on opening night. He poured in 33, 3, and 10 against the Spurs in the NBA's newest star as he hit a dagger step-back 3 late in the 4th, letting Wembanyama know the NBA was his league. Just 2 nights later, he'd go nuclear for 49 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. But those stats were an afterthought considering he did this late in the shot clock for seconds, got it for Kleber. Again, late in the clock, in desperation, Luka Magic right there. Luka banked in an obnoxious one-handed hook shot floater to go up 3 with 30 seconds left to win the game. That was Luka Magic. He'd keep his foot on the gas, too, scoring 30 points in 20 of his first 27 games of the season, leading us to a Christmas Day game against the the Phoenix Suns. Luka put up a masterful performance with 50 points, 6 rebounds, 15 assists for steals, and 3 blocks. Doncic was dominant. Everyone was talking about this performance, but what he did just 1 month later left us all speechless. Has it now? LCA baseline, yeah, baby. Complete the group on the floor for Atlanta. But it's Luka Johnson for 3 over Capella, heart by. Luka probing, drifting back to the baseline. Yeah, baby, a lot of games. Here's the step back for a new Maverick wreck. Dallas transition. Look inside, it goes. It's a basket and AB. Splits a double. Keeps the triple alive. All the way to the hoop. SC to the hoop with the ball. Point 71 and 72, a 73-point game. The fourth highest scoring performance in the history of the NBA now belongs to Luka Doncic. Plus, add on 10 rebounds and 7 assists on 75% shooting from the field. He legitimately had one of the greatest games of all time. Luka's brilliance would continue throughout the rest of the season as he earned his 5th consecutive All-Star appearance and first-team All-NBA selection while leading the league in scoring, averaging 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists video game numbers. But it was only good enough to finish third in MVP voting. Shocking. This is just shocking. I was absolutely shocked. Most shocking trade, but it wasn't a big deal. Luka had his eyes set on something greater. Doncic and the Mavs would face an old foe in round 1. Those goddamn LA Clippers. After a 12-point loss in Game 1, it looked like history was going to repeat itself. That is, until Luka took over. Dallas Clippers are 3-14 from the field. Ching of dribbling from Don, step back, ridiculous. Don gets into it quickly. LS it up. Luka Doncic is lethal against Harden. Doncic lines it up. It goes. He is that guy, a monster 32, 6, and 9 performance on the road, including some huge step-back threes to seal the win with an emphatic roar, and some choice words for the crowd. Luka's performance gave Dallas all the momentum as they went on to win 3 of their next 4 games to finally win a series against the Clippers, lining them up to face the number 1 seed, OKC Thunder, in round 2. This is where Luka had statistically the worst series of his career, averaging 24, 10, and 8, which sounds crazy, but it's true. He dealt with right ankle soreness and a right knee sprain throughout the series, but the Mavericks still managed to take care of business, beating OKC in 6 games to get back to the Western Conference Finals, where they would face Minnesota, and the man vying to become the next face of the NBA. In Game 1, Luka showed Ant what's good, frying him for 33, 6, and 8, including 15 of those in the fourth quarter with a step-back 3 in his mouth and a dagger from the right side to secure the win. And if Game 1 didn't convince you of who the top dog was, Game 2 definitely did. Got a lively screen, step-back 3, stutter steps, and back for a triple. For the first time, it goes, what? AIC the other up. Andic has the ball down by 2. There's the switch. Gobert up there. Doncic maneuvers for the got it. What a shot. Dallas has taken the lead. Luka made 4-time Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert look like a giraffe on ice as he stepped back and drained a cold-blooded game winner, letting Rudy know that he can't guard him. Headed back home up 2-0. Dallas won Game 3 to take a commanding 3-0 lead. Minnesota threw one last punch in Game 4 to make it 3-1, but by the time we got to the first quarter of Game 5, you knew it was over. Doncic exploded for 20 in the period, scoring from literally everywhere on the court, finishing the game with 36, 1, and 5, lifting Dallas to their first finals appearance since Dirk in 2011. The prophecy was being fulfilled. I'll keep it real, the finals were not great for Luka. He dropped 30 and 10 in Game 1, but they got smacked by 18. In Game 2, he poured in a 32-10 triple-double, yet they still lost by 7 to go down 0-2 in the series. It only got worse because in Game 3, we got the Luka meltdown. He complained, played piss-poor defense, and fouled out of the game. Some of the calls were questionable, others were completely his fault, and as he picked up his 6th foul, he screamed at the coaching staff in anger to challenge the play. The call stood, and he sat on the bench for the final 4 minutes of the game, watching his team go down 0-3 in the series. It was embarrassing. Dallas would give one last effort in Game 4 to push the finals back to Boston for a Game 5, where the Celtics won and were crowned NBA champions. Luka and the Mavs were as close as they've ever been to a title. It was heartbreaking, but despite the loss, this roster proved they were capable of winning a championship. And hey, there's always next year. The beginning of the 2025 season was a bit of a roller coaster for Luka He was putting up his usual numbers, but fans were voicing their concerns that he didn't look like himself. He looked slower, lethargic, and sluggish, even more so than usual. It was worrisome, but at the same time, Luka is known for playing himself into shape throughout the season, so it wasn't a massive concern. Dallas was still a favorite to win the title and be atop the Western Conference by the time the season was over. But on Christmas Day, health became a serious concern. Luka suffered a non-contact injury against Minnesota, leaving the game and not returning. It was then reported that he suffered a calf sprain and would be out for over a month. It was bad news, but it didn't scream any red flags. Luka is rehabbing to get healthy, targeting a return in early February. And once he does return, there's no doubt that Dallas will be right back into championship contention. After all, they have Luka. Headed to the Lakers, Anthony Davis headed to the Mavericks in a seismic trade that shakes up the reigning Western Conference champion Mavs and gives LeBron James in Los Angeles a 25-year-old superstar who's been All-NBA first team for 5 straight years. In what is the most jaw-dropping trade in NBA history, a 25-year-old Luka Doncic, about to enter the prime of his career, gets traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. A generational talent who's carried a franchise, who's shown flashes of becoming one of the greatest players in the history of the game, is gone in the blink of an eye. The Luka Doncic era in Dallas is over. Right as it was getting started, I was meant to be new. I was meant to be beautiful. The world would have looked to the sky, seen hope, seen mercy. Instead, they look up in horror because of you. You've wounded me.